So while we wait for the lineup to come out for tonight's game three against the Toronto Blue Jays back in the Bronx, that doesn't mean news stops happening. I have some stuff here to share with you. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. So, obviously, you know, this division series has not been what we've thought it was going to be right now. And the fact that matters, if you're a Phillies fan, I have a feeling you're feeling the same way. They're down 2-0 to the Dodgers, heading back to LA. What the my God? I didn't think that was going to happen. I really didn't. I'm not surprised that the Brewers are up 2-0 on the Cubs, but I'm more surprised, with the Yankees being down 2-0 on the Blue Jays. And aside from all the stuff that's been talked about, right? Accusations of stealing and cheating, like we don't know what's going on. We just don't know what's going on. So we just have to wait and see, right? Comments about Judge not being clutch and all this stuff because he struck out with the bases loaded. Yeah, nobody's talking about Rice striking out, Stanton striking out, Grisham striking out, runners on, and bases loaded. That's not being talked about. Fact of the matter is, the way I look at it is Judge. Let's just say Judge is Batman, right? Isn't Batman better with Robin? Well, where the hell are the Robins? Bellinger, Stanton, Grisham, Rice, all these guys. Where are they? Okay, yeah, he got struck out the base load. Yeah, there's no one's denying that, but he is hitting like 440 in the postseason. So he's doing his job. Everybody else is not, right? And that's one of the more frustrating parts. And again, we can boil back down to seeing they're sign stealing, they're cheating, and we just don't know. We don't know, right? And if they are, then how the Yankees combat that tonight back home. We'll see how the Yankees respond to it. Aside from that, a lot of fans are going to feel like the Yankees are failing. It's the same thing as every other year. We haven't won a series in 15 years, and a lot of folks just suggest that it should be easy to win a world championship, and it's not, right? So, but this is playoff baseball. It happens all the time. It's a frustrating part of it, and it's a fascinating part of it, right? But I have some kind of reporting to share with you too, like. And it goes back down to how the Yankees pivoted from Juan Soto this offseason, this past offseason, and what they're planning on doing this coming offseason. Now, I'm working on my trade deadline predictions. I mean, not trade line, my MLB free agent predictions, and I'm working on my offseason predictions that include trades. So that's going to come once the season's over. So if you're a baseball fan, especially you're a Yankee fan, please make sure you do two things, okay? Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you enjoy the content enough to coming back. And I greatly appreciate it. I don't want you to miss that, okay? And I'll be going on doing a lot of other things in the offseason as well, as of course, covering football too. But why do I bring this up? Well, Yankees pivoted from Juan Soto because they had to, right? And they didn't bring in a bona fide superstar like Juan Soto was considered, but they brought in a lot of good players, right? And they're at this point right now. Without Soto, without Garrett Cole, without Jake Cousins, without Oswaldo Cabrera, missing tons of time in the season with other players too. So the Yankees matched the same amount of wins that they had last year, 94. Okay, but obviously, and this is right from George Steinbrenner's mantra: if you don't win a World Series, it's considered a failure. And a lot of folks share that philosophy, which is fine, which is totally fine. But guys that they brought in, Cody Bellinger, Max Fried, and all the other folks that they brought in, Paul Goldschmidt, all the folks that they traded for the deadline, right? And Devin Williams and some of these other folks. Why did I bring these guys up as well? Well, one of the things the Yankees had the opportunity to last offseason was, try to trade for Kyle Tucker at the trade deadline. Right. And they were aggressive. Initially, the trade proposal that we were hearing about was Luis Hill straight up for Kyle Tucker, but we knew that wasn't going to be enough. So, and I found out more reporting recently that the Yankees had initially offered Ben Rice and Caleb Durbin, who's now playing with the Brewers in the playoffs. So they offered him, and they offered both of those guys for Kyle Tucker to the Astros. And then the Astros countered with they want Luis Hill and either one of Jason Dominguez or George Lombard. Okay. So at the time, the Yankees balked. A trade never happened. He was sent to the Cubs. But it gives you an idea of how aggressive the Yankees were in pursuing Kyle Tucker. And does that flow into this offseason now? Has Cody Bellinger done enough? Because I do think, this is just my opinion. You let me know if you agree. I don't think Trent Grisham's coming back. I think he's going to get a qualifying offer. He's going to sign somewhere else. He's earned the right to do that. And he'll get a pretty good contract, right? And feeding off of a career year. And I do think they have more than a legitimate chance of bringing back Cody Bellinger. But Cody Bellinger, for the most part, doesn't share the same star name as Kyle Tucker. Now, Kyle Tucker's price tag is definitely going to be higher than Cody Bellinger. There's no doubt about that. Okay, and he's also not represented by Scott Boras. Bellinger is. So, but nevertheless, his price tag is going to be high. But it sounds as if the Cubs are not going to bring him back. So, do the Yankees go super aggressive and let both Grisham and Bellinger walk and try to bring in Kyle Tucker? Right? That's the question. And it's a legitimate question. Because I do think they're going to trade Jason Dominguez. Right? I do think they're going to trade Jason Dominguez for pitching. And see if that happens. I could be wrong, but I all signs are pointing towards them moving Dominguez for pitching. Maybe even Luis Hill too, possibly. See if they can get what they need to get, right? Some front end relief pitchers, and there are quite a few available. And I'm gonna do some videos on that too in the near future. So stay tuned. But let's just say they let Bellinger and Grisham walk, and they somehow bring in Kyle Tucker. Well, that's one. Who's going to occupy the other spot? Is it going to be the Spencer Jones show? Is it going to be Tucker, Jones, and Dominguez? I mean, and Judge? Could be. Judge is. I mean, the Jones' upside in the outfield is way higher than Dominguez is. We noticed already. He's a fantastic outfielder. Okay, but he still has strikeout issues, and he's going to have to face that coming up to the major leagues. So, and does bringing him up and bringing in Kyle Tucker make it a little bit easier to ease in Spencer Jones? And behind that, who's going to be the backup outfielder, the fourth outfielder? I mean, they've got Brendan Jones in AAA. I mean, Dylan Lewis is a little further away, but do they sign another outfielder on the relative cheap, right? Just to kind of be a fourth outfielder. That's the other question. But to me, I'm starting to get a stronger feeling that the Yankees are probably going to be a little bit more aggressive towards Kyle Tucker than I thought. Right? I'm happy if they bring back Cody Bellinger. I am, but I'm wondering if because the sentiment that from a lot of people I talk to is, they didn't win it with Juan Soto, but they had two superstars that were there, and they don't have two superstars now. They have Judge superstar and a lot of really good players. Is that going to be the thing that prevents them from getting to the promised land, right? And if so, is that going to be the argument that justifies them pursuing Kyle Tucker aggressively in free agency and being willing to pay much more money for him? There's going to be a lot of money coming off the payroll this offseason and next offseason, upwards of $100 million, so they can afford him, right? But and again, like the other pieces I would look into would be trades. My guess is they're going to go after some type of starting pitcher, even though we'll get a full year of Cam Schlittler, Cole returning at some point. Schmidt's going to miss the year. And you don't really know what to expect from Luis Hill, right? So obviously we've got Max Fried and Carlos Rodon. Beyond that, Is it going to be Carlos LaGrange? Is it going to be, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz? Do we want to just throw them to the wolves and expect it to go well? We don't know. Or they bring in some type of veteran on the cheap that can just give them reliable innings and make it easy to ease in these guys. So I just want to put that out there because this offseason might be a little bit different than some folks are thinking, and even me myself. I mean, I would have been happy if they brought back Cody Bellinger, let Grisham walk, brought in Spencer Jones, and just loaded up on the bullpen, right? And brought in somebody who's a good contact bat, who can actually hit well with 2 strikes. We don't have a lot of 2-strike hitters that are really good. So who can we get that's like a pure contact guy that does well with 2 strikes? I have to look that up, and I'll be scouring that. That's going to be one of my videos that I'm going to put out this offseason as well. All right, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Now, but I'm going to make this clear right now. The season is not over yet for the Yankees. Okay? Until they're eliminated, the season's not over. I know emotionally, mentally, it is for a lot of fans. I get it. Okay? It's not for me. Okay? I do not throw in the white flag until the season's over. And even when the season's over, I just plot and plan for the next season. What can we do to get further than we did last year? And so on. Right? And again, there's going to be a lot of plotting, a lot of people in the lab, going brainstorming and seeing what's going to happen. I'll have a lot of people on the channel as guests coming on so we can kind of put our heads together and collectively figure out what to do, and how the Yankees can get better. Because, I have a guest coming and join me in the near future. We're going to go over the Rule 5 draft, right? Are there guys that are eligible for the Rule 5 draft that we can protect, but we can also trade to get the pieces that we need? We can add to a Jason Dominguez trade, add to a Luis Hill trade that can make it easier for us to get a really good reliever. Like, those are the types of things that I can do that I like to talk about. Because we have about 7 or 8 guys that are legitimately people to cover from the Rule 5, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be maybe 4 guys that are going to get protected from Rule 5. Okay? In order to do that, you have to be put on the 40-man roster. And it looks to me as like 4 or 5 spots that are legitimate spots to replace with players that need to be put on the 5 that we can trade from some of these other guys, right? And which can get us some value. Otherwise, we're just going to lose them. They'll get poached in the Rule 5 draft and just snatch up by other teams without us getting any value in return. So I'd rather us consider trading these guys instead of just losing them, right? So, but we'll get into that as well. But this offseason can be a different one for the Yankees. That's my point that I wanted to share today. Obviously, I'll be back later with the lineup. And hopefully, obviously, the Yankees need to win tonight. They've got to play better. They've got to play differently, right? And if they know something that we don't know, if the Blue Jays are cheating, how do they prepare themselves for it? How do they combat that, right? I mean, you didn't see them out practicing yesterday in the field. They were practicing indoors while the Blue Jays were outdoors. So maybe they didn't want this. Maybe they didn't want the Blue Jays to see what they were doing. Don't know. No idea. But it's definitely worth considering. But this, to me, is a more worthwhile conversation to have. I have a feeling they're going to be a little bit more aggressive for Kyle Tucker than I had thought. And I think they're going to have competition, obviously. The Dodgers are going to need an outfield. They're going to go hard after him. And a couple other teams, I think, are going to go after him, too. If the Phillies somehow lose Kyle Schwarber, they're going to go after Kyle Tucker. He's going to have no shortage of suitors, probably 10 or 12. But at the end of the day, there's probably only 2 or 3 teams that are willing to offer him the money that's going to get. The Yankees being one of them. So, and if they lose Bellinger and Grisham, collectively combine that salary together, that's probably going to be close to what Tucker's going to receive. And if you add a Spencer Jones to that, who's going to be cheap for the next 6 years, pre-ARB and ARB, then it balances out almost, level on a level playing field when it comes to the money. So, question is, does it make the team better? Should we just be happy to bring guys back? Even though some of these guys have disappeared. Grisham has disappeared in the postseason. So is Bellinger to a degree, right? And are we going to use that as the metric to keep them or bring them back, right? Because a lot of people talk about Judge, great during the regular season, but he stinks in the playoffs, right? Doesn't come up clutch, And the fact is, if he carries the team during the regular season, it would be nice for him to get some help in the playoffs. Maybe he's tired from carrying the team in the regular season, and we need other guys to complement that. We need the guys to pick up the slack, right? And we've got a bunch of guys that aren't doing much right now, which to me are just as important as pointing out than just focusing on Judge. But that's a conversation for another day too. You give me your thoughts, folks. Okay, let me know. And again, I'm going to do off-season predictions for the Yankees. I'm going to do my free agent predictions for everybody. And stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun. Go Yankees. Peace. Talk to you later.